Sportskeeda, What's up, everybody? It is Rings and Rambles on a Monday, on demand, wherever you are, live. Get in the comments, hit the like button wherever you're watching. Yes, the likes, they are not limited. It is just a free button that you hit that means so much more to billionaires that own the platforms that we're on, that we feed with content that they don't exactly pay us for. I'm here. I'm Kevin Kellum, along with Nick over on the West Coast. And down there, also in the Central Time Zone, is Emily. So Emily Mae, all around the world. Feel beautiful. I'm quoting Red Hot Chili Peppers now. Emily, you've been on the beat. You were at Royal Rumble, WrestleManias. You're working the circuit for the independents. You're busy. I know you got to take about WWE Elimination Chamber. We'll get to that. Did you catch all the show? Did you wake up at 5 a.m.? 4 a.m. wasn't it?
Woke up and fell asleep. Not fault of the programming, just because it was early for us. And then so I woke up at like 8:30 and then was like, let's catch it. So no fault of the programming, just my energy little things and coffee did not work. So I was catching up on a lot.
I'm asking for everyone joining us live in the chat, did you wake up, for specifically fans of the United States, did you guys wake up for? I know we work with a lot of people in India, and they loved having a 3:30 in the afternoon pay-per-view. That was the feedback I got.
I'm so happy for all of my friends around the world that could have like a normal time to watch the show, because I think it's doing weird.
I know. This is popping us up, but I want to make sure it's so we got to get comments and stuff on the screen.
It's nice. Well. Like now we got a little in the United States. We got a little taste of that cross time zone, viewing.
This was quite the spectacle of a show, Nick. Big 50,000 seat crowd. Had a lot of promos and plugs and different things. When WWE does a foreign show, they tend to do that. You're seeing money from these tourism boards that bring these events in. I learned a lot about the Western Australian Tourism Board over the course of this show, and they spent a lot of money to bring this show to a part of Australia that I learned does not get a lot of live entertainment. Right. That's international. So this was an interesting show. What did you think of it? Did it deliver for you? A lot of hype. We'll get into the specifics, but I thought this was a pretty strong show. Not great. I thought Royal Rumble made me more excited about WrestleMania, but this kind of like tied up whatever loose ends we were waiting on.
Yeah, wasn't my favorite PLE so far, but because Royal Rumble was spectacular to me, but I thought it delivered. I thought the women's chamber match was my favorite of the night between the men and the women's, and I thought overall it delivered for the PLE being in Australia for the first time ever. So
about
it was
6 years.
6 years, yeah. So I mean, they did well. I think having Rhea Ripley and the night was perfect. So overall I liked it. I stayed up for the whole thing out here on the West Coast. It started at 2 a.m. for me, so not as bad as it was.
Did you stay up all night then?
I stayed up all night. I'm a night owl. I work night shift actually.
Okay, so it's a little bit
easier
for you.
Yeah, but I thought they did well. I thought that it was overall a good elimination chamber. I've in the past liked some a little bit more, but this one, it was still good. It was still good to me.
Yeah.
2 elimination chambers on this show. Of course, Rhea Ripley decisively victorious over Nia Jax. But I see this comment here coming out of the show in Australia with Johan, who's a big supporter of the show. Thank you so much, Johan. He goes, great wrestling show, but nothing really shocking happened. Very predictable. I've said this for a while. I don't think predictable, whether or not something's predictable, is determinant of whether or not it's a good show. Because you can deliver on something being predictable. We knew Hulk Hogan was going to be Andre the Giant, but it was still a spectacle, and it delivered. I think we knew Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to meet Shawn Michaels for the title at WrestleMania. There's been many big matches that were predictable, but still made you happy. You wanted to see the thing you anticipated happening. And I think there was a fair amount of that on this show, and there was a lot of spectacle with that chamber, which apparently dealt with pirates getting to Australia.
Yeah, the pirates tried to keep the chamber.
I'm the chamber captain now. Yeah. That's all I keep seeing people do.
They were going to turn their ship into a giant chamber. So
well, the actual chamber is floating somewhere in the Pacific.
Yeah, exactly. What we saw was not the real chamber. It was already taken by pirates. So Kevin, to that point, so I loved Elimination Chamber. I think it's one of those pay-per-views that they've built up a lot of, like you said, spectacle around, and it's not going to be a Royal Rumble. It's not going to be a WrestleMania. It's still there to just help build to those stories, to give fans a little bit of closure heading into WrestleMania. So when I heard lots of fans somewhat unhappy about, oh, well, we knew this person was going to win, and we knew, like, you never really know. You really never know what's going to happen. And so even though there was some results where it's like, okay, that was most likely going to be the direction that it's going to go. Like you said, Kevin, it doesn't mean it was bad. It was spectacle. It was entertaining. And that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to watch. And so I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, even though we're like, well, we most likely know what these WrestleMania matches are going to be. It's still, we had the WrestleMania kickoff event, which I think set the seed for having an amazing show in Perth. It showed like the Australian culture with there was the koala bears. All the WWE superstars were holding. We got to see, you know, what the whole country was about, what this beautiful place was. And Rhea Ripley hadn't been home in 7 years. So, and had a big match like this. So I think it was really amazing. So,
and they treated her like a massive star. We got a huge reaction, a massive one. And I thought it would be tough to put a singles match on after that Elimination Chamber. Enough with the video packages, you had some buffering and stuff like that. And the chamber is a spectacle of itself. That's the attraction, right? And then you have performers within it. So you had the men's chamber match, Drew McIntyre winning through some nefarious deeds. Now, Nick, I know you didn't exactly love the finish of that. Drew McIntyre now locked in to face Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship during WrestleMania weekend. But you didn't like that finish. You and I were talking before the show.
Yeah, you know, I just thought it made look Drew, he looked a little weak after that. You know, I thought that I'm happy for Drew. I'm happy that he won. But he already earlier on in the match had picked up a pinfall from AJ Styles coming in, attacking LA Knight. He got a pinfall by that, you know, a little cheap one there. And then they ended the match with Logan Paul coming back in, punching Randy Orton in the face with the brass knuckles. Drew just puts his arm over him. And that's the 1, 2, 3. I think that they could have done a little bit better job at the end there. Just make Drew look a little stronger because he's a good wrestler. You know, he's paid his dues. I do think he deserves to be in the match at WrestleMania, but to win that way after he already picked up one cheap pinfall early on in the match, to end it that way too, I don't know. I just didn't like that, but the match was still very entertaining.
Emily, hop in here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like we've seen Drew kind of have a journey this year, right? And I feel like he's in this really amazing streak. And so, yeah, Nick, I kind of agree in the sense that that it might not have been as strong of an ending to that match, but I feel like Drew is on this tear right now, and it's set him up for success later on. So I think it still kind of did the job that it needed to do.
Shout out to people that are watching from Austria. That's really awesome.
Austria,
show. People joining us. Yeah. Shout out to Bob Skelton watching Evansville, Indiana. So we're all over the map here. Want to get to this? What's Bob asked? What's the deal with AJ and LA Knight? Is this a setup for WrestleMania? I think so. Much like the Royal Rumble, where you have these big multi-man matches, you can kind of do these like spark angles, and they've been teasing AJ and LA for quite some time. Good way to get AJ Styles in there, because AJ did not feel like he had a major presence in this match. You know, he's been in Elimination Chamber matches before. He's been back in WWE for a few months now. He does not feel as big a player as he was beforehand, but they're certainly making him feel more serious, more resentful of his standing, almost like he's mad about where he stands on the card in general. Emily, what did you think of that? They're setting some other matches up here. We're building out the card here for WrestleMania beyond just the top of it here, because it's 2 days. You got a lot of stuff to fill on 2 different shows.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why Elimination Chamber is here, right? We're setting up, you know, we can talk about Cody Rhodes and The Rock and all of like the big players, right? Rollins. And we have to think about what those other matches are that could set up these superstars in the future. Like I think I know we haven't spoken about the women's chamber match, but I think Tiffany Stratton I know I saw people talking about it in the chat already, but like this was a moment for her to set up her star power in the future. So, she got in her stuff. And so really this is moments for those people to get those moments in.
Star-making performance by Tiffany. Star-making performance. This is somebody who came from the gymnastics world, so obviously you have an athletic background. Looks like $1 million. She's a gorgeous woman, all right? She's very striking. Passes the, this, you've heard this both, the airport test. That you would see her, and if you didn't know she was a wrestler, you'd be like, that person works in entertainment. There's no way that person isn't on camera somewhere, right? And so she has that already. And to have that, there's so many people who've had that to start their career and maybe don't push it to another level. And then some people have. She reminds me a lot of Trish Stratus, where Trish came into the business as a model who had some speaking ability and can certainly project a personality, but now you're really starting to see it all come together in the ring. That gymnastics background on display. She got to take some real punishment in this match. She got to do that moonsault where she really cut the angle when she was coming down. I was like, turn. And so I really loved it. The women's elimination chamber match, this happened last year, I believe. And with the Royal Rumble this year, a lot better than the men's.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying in terms of like in the ring, bell to bell performances, I thought the stories were a lot more defined and neatly wrapped up in the women's match. Tiffany got a great showcase. Good on Naomi for doing good business by her and taking a pin and making somebody look strong, even though Tiffany's not the person to win it. Becky Lynch and Liv, I thought, had a great little sequence there at the end to make it seem like it could go either way, even though you knew it was Becky match to win. And it definitely felt like a foregone conclusion. I know they were already teasing it. They were already teasing it in Las Vegas, right? But I also thought they did enough in that match to make you forget the outcome. And when they got to the outcome, you're like, okay, cool. I didn't matter. I had a good ride, right? Yeah. And that's kind of the whole, that's why I think the predictable thing is stupid. Some people agree with me in the chat, though, that the women's match was better.
Yeah, but Kevin, to your point about, I wanted to give a shout out not only to Liv Morgan as well. So Liv Morgan, returning and really trying to get back into this and at a time where it's full blown, we're on the road to WrestleMania. So big props to her for
hard time to come back.
It's a hard time to come back. No lie. It's the hardest time to come back.
Her and AJ kind of have the same type of deal going on right now.
Yeah. You can't get injured like CM Punk. You don't want to take major risks, but you also have to take risks at the same time. And also to the point of Tiffany Stratton kind of being the newbie in the Elimination Chamber match, the fact that Becky Lynch, Naomi, that she could be on the same level as them and they could support each other. I think that's a testament to what Tiffany is capable of. Not only what we just saw, but where we're going to see her go in the future.
Yeah, I agree.
Get in here, Nick. Go ahead.
I think that she's ready. She's built for this moment. Before she even got into the ring and started competing, that Aussie crowd was chanting, we want to, they were chanting her name. They wanted, Tiffy time. And she came in and she delivered. She's ready. She's ready for the big time moment. She's built for this. So it was cool to see that.
A lot of people commenting. I want to shout out to everyone who's joining us here. I would normally throw your comment up on screen, but it'll throw the whole screen up here. A shout out to Mike watching in Nigeria. Love that. Brandon Klinger saying Tiffany Stratton is winning the women's Money in the Bank this year for sure. Ooh. Jillian saying CM Punk will kill Drew's chances of winning at WrestleMania 40. CM Punk, even if he's not healed up, he could get in there and cost somebody a match. I think he could physically do that. I would not. Punk's doing something at WrestleMania. You're not going to have WrestleMania and he's not there. So that's a crazy one here. Johan here with a question while we're talking about Tiffany Stratton, her having a star-making performance. Oh, yeah, by the way, Becky Lynch won the match, by the way. We haven't even got it.
Yes, yeah.
But I want to feel this one to you. Emily. What do you want to see Tiffany do at WrestleMania? How do you get her into the show? Because there's going to be matches where you got to get multiple people on the card. I think she's going to be in one of those matches.
I mean, I think there's no doubt that she would be in some type of match or some type of segment. They have to find a place for her. I think they're trying to figure that out. I would actually love to see some more of potentially some of the other NXT call-ups potentially have a moment with her. I think there's some potential possibilities there.
Nice.
Overall, I think, like I said, I don't think predictability is bad. I thought this was a good show. It felt like a spectacle. Anytime you see WWE in front of a massive crowd on these special events, they feel bigger than Raw and SmackDown. And especially these international shows. And the crowd was really, really special. You could tell that they really enjoyed just seeing WWE, and they didn't get to see it that often. And it was a big deal. And you could see the wrestlers and the performers overall take a real moment in this. Rhea Ripley had a lot of that. I thought she had a fair match with Nia Jax considering the circumstances, but I think it was more about the moment of, hey, this is someone we absolutely love. Probably one of the most popular athletes in Australia at the moment, beyond just WWE. She's a very, very big celebrity there. And we could see that traffic this weekend on Sportskeeda.com. I was told there was a lot of people wanted to check out what was going on with her. But I thought overall strong show. Let's talk about this Cody Rhodes, Seth freaking Rollins segment. A way to get them on the show. They challenged the Bloodline on the Grayson Waller effect before taking out Grayson Waller in Austin Theory. And of course, this sets up something Waller. Hey, you're gonna drink a shoe before I get in the ring. I'm gonna drink beer out of a shoe just because it's clever.
Shoey, did everyone do a shoey? Did you do it?
No, I would want a clean shoe to do it with. I wouldn't want to take the shoe right off my foot. Especially when I hear about the humidity in Australia, that when it was like 100 degrees that weekend, doesn't seem too like it would add some potency to the flavor of the beer that I'd be drinking. You think that's a shoe? This is a shoe. People asking, did Rhea Ripley get injured in this match? Did I miss that? Did that go over my head? Did I not catch that?
No,
I don't think so.
No, she was just kind of playing up like, my back hurts because she was trying to lift up Nia Jax, but I think that's all I saw. I mean, it wasn't anything serious.
And I kind of want to shout out Nia Jax too, because Nia Jax
tough spot for her to be in, but she carried her weight.
You're like going against this, a big hero of Australia, and she really leaned into the heel spot, right? Really just leaned into it, not only at like the media kickoff event, but just like leading up to this. And I think there's been some fans that have been a little back and forth on whether her return has been good. And I think this showed that she's in a whole new place, and she's really honed in on what she's good at.
Love being a heel.
I'm really proud of what Nia Jax did.
I saw this the Chamber Elimination Chamber press event. Everyone goes out there and does their raw thing. She came out there and I thought had the best moment. And Rhea had a great, and she comes out, she's a big celebrity, right? That's probably but in terms of like really getting a storyline over and really getting under people's skin and really being the role you're supposed to play. You are the villain. Get them not to like you. She took perfect pauses. She is probably, I will say this, of the women, cutting the best heel promos of any of the women in WWE. And I'll say this too, probably the best female bad girl promo in wrestling right now. All right. In terms of like you're booing her. Yeah, people like Toni Storm. Toni Storm is a comedic character and people are laughing first. And there's nothing wrong with that. She's entertaining you, but you're not booing her. You don't despise her for her villainy. All right. Nia Jax came out there and said, I was born in Australia, but I really appreciate that my parents moved me to the United States.
Yes.
Simple stuff. Simple stuff that works.
That was such a good, simple way of saying it. And it like, they just booed and they hated it. And she was like, thank goodness they moved me. Like, it just was so good. And it just set it all up perfectly.
It was perfect.
And also, like, we knew we were getting Becky and Rhea. So you have a tough assignment here. But the fundamentals, the keeping it simple that you see in Triple H's storyline telling and sticking with the plan, not diverting when it seems like it's going just a little bit south and getting away from it. You see that in the storyline telling. You see that with what Rob Fee has been doing in the creative. And you bring in a player who can get the heat, keep the heat. People like booing them, is a big formidable force. And that's what she is. She's not like most girls. Okay? She's not like most girls. And she delivered on that part. I liked it. Other people, shout out to Jack saying, shout out, love you guys. No, love you back. Do you guys think Randy Orton and Logan Paul are going to face each other? Of course, Randy Orton and Logan Paul, they have big presences in the Elimination Chamber. Of course, Logan Paul had fun with a Sharpie, drawing on the clear plexiglass walls. I thought that was a fun little gimmick to do in the match. Him and Randy Orton had some interaction. Some people think that maybe that's teasing a big match. for Logan Paul, and it seems like you're squaring up LA Knight with AJ Styles. Some people think you're doing LA Knight and Logan Paul. What do you think of the change there? Another big radical change. We were getting a lot of teases of LA Knight and AJ Styles, but we were also getting teases of him and Logan Paul along the way.
Yeah, I mean, you could go any way with this, but I do see it now as AJ Styles versus LA Knight and Logan Paul and Randy Orton moving forward after Elimination Chamber. Like Emily mentioned before, Elimination Chamber is here, to set up these storylines moving into WrestleMania. And I think that these are both set up clearly here now, and we're going to see something special coming out of it. I wouldn't be surprised if Logan Paul drops the title to Randy Orton and Randy becomes the United States champion. But
I don't know, wouldn't it be crazy if Logan, Emily, you and I have been to WrestleManias. We've seen that diehard crowd, right?
Yeah.
And people I wouldn't say we respect Logan. He's still a heel. They made him a heel. He's not a good person.
Logan Paul's really, we've seen it, Kevin, live where Logan Paul's really over.
Oh, he's a very good wrestler. Like
he's a really good wrestler. Like surprisingly, people he's put in the work, and those crossover celebrities doesn't always work. But
and they're not on TV as nearly as much as he is. Mind you, he only wrestles on pay-per-view, which is fine. Make him an attraction, have him build up to things. He's only wrestled once on television, which was just now. Now they recently just started to do that. And he's a little chicken shiz. And when he's out there, he delivers, right? Yeah. And so I think him putting him there with the most serious guy, and then you do something shocking. I say this: if they do Logan Paul and Randy Orton, Logan Paul wins this match.
Well, his entrances are going to be wild, right? WrestleMania, you got to go big, so there has to be something wild. Flying in on where are we? Philadelphia. He'll fly in on a giant Philly cheesesteak.
Or an eagle. He'll fly in because he has that Maverick. He just puts a golden eagle on all the stuff he sells to 13-year-olds, right? He's just gonna fly in on that. Or
just a golden eagle. He'll fly in on
it has bottles of Prime in its talons.
Exactly. No, he'll drop Prime bottles down for the 100.
But then you got problems, then, Emily. People are throwing those bottles in the ring. We can't have that.
But
no Philadelphia crowd.
No,
this is the Philadelphia crowd. Nick, you know about Philly? You know about those Philly crowds, dude?
I know about Philly, okay?
Oh, you know about that accent.
I'm scared, Nick. I'm scared.
This is the crowd that threw snowballs at Santa Claus, all right? This is that crowd. So people saying they should have an NXT match and the winner should face Tiffany at WrestleMania. We'll see about that. I'm not opposed to some NXT people being on WrestleMania. That's wild. Are we going to check out Raw tonight? I'll be checking out Raw. I'll be following up with it. Yeah, I always, especially after pay-per-view, you always get something fresh. But I think we're really dialed in here about what's going on with WrestleMania. I don't think you're going to, maybe get some swerve here. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Are we officially 40 days away?
We are 40 days away from WrestleMania. 40 days away from WrestleMania. WrestleMania, I think, is in a good spot. I think I feel more when you consider how much things were going to be Rock versus Reigns, and then there's a pivoting, and then they changed, and all these different things. They never lost that much momentum. Am I wrong? Cody versus Reigns feels like a great match to have. Now you get to do this other match with The Rock, where you still get The Rock on WrestleMania. We're going to get a tag match night one. Is that what we're getting here? We're getting Rock and Roman versus Cody and Reigns in some form. Maybe we get Rock and Solo Sikoa, so maybe Reigns doesn't have to chip his nails one day early or something. I don't know. Emily, what do you think here of this whole Rock Reigns Cody situation, night one and night two? Because I like the idea. They've never done this where they thread one night to the other.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because you're going to have audiences that are you want them to tune into both nights. So having that thread where something that happens on night one could affect night two and there's ramifications, makes it feel so much bigger and so much more important. So I'm interested to see how they weave that through, what they kind of decide, what happens when, what matches are on night one and night two. But I think night two will be a big determining factor on, who will be. I think there'll be some new champions on night two, and it's gonna, all come down to what happens on night one.
Absolutely. Nick, your take on this, because you're gonna have some people working double duty. Looks like they're definitely gonna have Cody do that, and it's kind of risky. Kind of risky. You want your blockbuster babyface getting boo-booed up on night 1 and he can't go night 2.
I think they work it in a way to where, you know, it's safe enough to where they get to night 2, but they still put on a great match and whatnot. But I like it. I love this. You know, like Emily said, you want people to watch both nights and to have a storyline intertwined in both nights. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. It's perfect. I love it.
I love that word, intertwined.
Intertwined. Speaking of intertwined, Nick, I have to ask you a question. Are you a crybaby?
You know, I am not a crybaby, actually. People, I'm not a Cody crybaby.
Who's a crybaby in the chat? I want to know.
Who's the crybaby in the chat? I enjoyed that when Cody just kind of took that whole thing. But the thing is, the next time he did this at Elimination Chamber, he asked the crowd if they're crybabies, and they're like, "Yeah,
I know." Yeah. It's like,
and also he kind of did this like he was really like kind of pissanthy with the way he treated The Rock's like entire catalog of catchphrases. Oh, you're gonna call me Rudy Poo Poo? like it was very like
you're gonna eat pie or
oh, here comes The Rock. He's gonna say the stuff he did in 1998. like it was very like oh, like it was very like man, like if he does that in front of The Rock, the reactions to it are gonna be like guaranteed. The Rock's gonna come out there. He's gonna try and play the hits on Cody, and then Cody's gonna cut him off and use all of his lines on him, and Rock going nuts and selling as this Rock in 2024, who's just basically trying to be himself from 25 years ago, is genuinely going to be really entertaining. And so I look forward to that. I look forward to what they can do, just the talking segments before they even get to the match, right?
Yeah. I mean, the best way is to like use your past and like all of that stuff. Like you said, those catchphrases that everyone knows, use those as ammunition a little bit, turn it on the other person. Just like we saw Grayson Waller do it at Elimination Chamber, like do in the Waller effect. Like you saw all of that kind of come to a head. It's like you got to use all that stuff because that's the juicy stuff. That's the stuff that goes online on X.com, and you're putting it all over because that's the juicy insults are really what get people going.
Oh,
I saw someone tweet during Elimination Chamber, Roman Reigns is such a part-timer, he has to have people fill in for him on the show who aren't even in his family anymore. And I was just like, oh my God, that's kind of brutal. And it's the truth. Shout out to people in chat. Stefania, who is saying, saludos, Tesere from Colombia. Thank you so much. Love hearing from you. Juan already has his tickets to Raw after WrestleMania.
Awesome.
That's pretty sweet. 40 days away. Something that is a little bit closer, and by the way, seems very overshadowed by everything going on in WWE, is this other company. Emily, have you heard of All Elite Wrestling? I believe they're still in the picture.
Yeah,
I know. I'm being really mean. They have a big show that sold 13,000 tickets, by the way, so good on them. And it's sold on the name of one man, the Icon Sting. Nick, they're doing his final match. He will tag team with Darby Allin, who's been tag teaming now for the past 3-4 years with, to close out his career and what is being advertised as his final match. His final match, he'll defend the AEW World Tag Team titles against those dastardly Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas, going by their full proper names. The build of this has been all over the place. All over the place, but they had him do a very serious promo. They have problems this week at Dynamite. His father passed away. There was injuries across the board. Everything that came out after Dynamite made me understand why I was watching Dynamite and be like, what is going on? Like, you guys are a week out. You guys are like 4 or 5 days out from a pay-per-view this weekend. I was like, and you're going to do a pre-tape with Sting. You don't have Sting in the ring. You should have Sting in the ring. Why is it? And then everything kind of came out and made more sense. But it's been a rough go of him with this whole Sting angle, which is the selling point of the pay-per-view.
Oh yeah. You know, I feel for Sting. First of all, you know, condolences to him and his family and whatnot. Yeah. But it does make sense now, like you said, because I was kind of like, what the heck is going on right now? Like we need to get Sting in here. His big match is very, very close, and they're not doing much for it. And I think we touched on this a prior week. You know, I have had friends who didn't even know that Sting's final match was coming up. And I was like, oh,
starting to have that TNA effect.
Yeah.
Remember this, Emily? Like 10, 15 years ago, big people from WWE would go over to TNA, and then some people would run into an airport and say, hey, are you still wrestling? Mick Foley said this. He's like, yeah, I'm on TV every week.
Yeah.
I'm a TNA wrestling. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't like where that's going. That doesn't make me think things are going in the right direction, though. You know? But still, he sold 13,000 tickets on this.
Yeah.
In North Carolina, where he's been a big name forever. That's the heart of Jim Crockett country. Emily, your take on this whole thing. What do you think?
I mean, I think I have mixed reactions to the build because I feel like you don't necessarily need one, right? It speaks to itself, right?
Yeah.
You know that people are gonna go. You know people are gonna. You know, like you said, it's in a place that means a lot to him. So it's one of those things that, like, yes, they could build this whole thing, but I feel like it speaks to itself. And I think it's going to be an emotional, obviously emotional moment. You know, he obviously also has some personal, like we said, personal stuff going on. And so I feel like it just shows that, you know, people have things outside of wrestling, and sometimes things are a little bit bigger than what's happening in wrestling. And so maybe there was like underlying circumstances that the build wasn't as big, you know. I think we should consider that too. But I think, you know, it's this weekend, right? Is that
See, snuck up on you.
It's snuck up. I know. I was like, I said March. How is it March, by the way? Almost.
Crazy.
It's almost March. It is almost March here. I'll shout out this. Don't do that. In the comments. No, I'm not saying don't you do that. I'm reading a comment here from somebody in the chat name. Don't do that. Okay.
I was confused too. I was like, wait, what?
I was like, what, Kevin? What am I doing?
It doesn't matter what you say. No, I'm trying.
Kevin's always telling me to be quiet. You know.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to read this comment here from. See, I'm putting it on the screen so we can wedge our way in here. From don't do that. He's in South Philly. I'm going to everything 100 lol 5 6 7 8 at the link. All right, that's where they're having it. And the Wells Fargo, great arena, great show. I like and sub. Thank you so much. Don't do that. I appreciate that. Do that by liking and subscribing. A lot of content on the Sportskeeda YouTube channel. I just did a video about how streaming has changed how we watch wrestling, how streaming overall, the evolution of how wrestling has been broadcasted throughout the decades. And he's like, don't do that is my nickname. Says don't do that. All right. DDT. That's what I'm gonna call you. When you're in this chat, you're DDT. There you go. Keep it wrestling, baby. But back on the topic of AEW Revolution and just AEW in general. Am I wrong? Like, this show is going to be successful. It's going to be a really hot ticket item in Greensboro, in North Carolina. People that grew up with Sting. But you said it, Nick. You're hitting on the topic here. We have a show that's not cracking 1 million viewers in overnight viewership. Mind you, the rating scale is very off. If it was an honest rating scale, they'd probably be doing 2 million. But the Nielsen scale is what you have to play with, right? You have them still waiting for a TV deal, okay? And they haven't announced a TV deal. That worries me here. Emily, you work in the media business. We're almost at the end of quarter one, all right? And this thing called the upfronts is coming up, where TV networks and media outlets do their upfronts, where they sell about 75% of their ads for the year to potential advertisers. And the closer we get to those upfronts, which are not that far away, okay, they always happen in the spring, that's when they kind of tell you, here's what we're going to have for the next year. Outside of Vincent Aries, going to be a lot of sports heavy stuff. We're still waiting to see what happens with the NBA contract. So I bring up the media stuff here because we're going into this weekend here where they're going to be doing a pay-per-view on traditional pay-per-view prices. It's not on a streaming service. Fans want it on a streaming service. They want AEW to catch up with WWE. They're in some tough positions here. And then you have all these injuries and all these different things, and you have these booking snafus. It just seems like there's just one thing after another, right, Nick?
Yeah, it's a lot. And I honestly don't know what they're going to do right now. There's a lot up in the air, but if we're going to talk about this Sting thing, you know, I think they could have done a much better job of promoting this Sting thing.
It doesn't. I mean, the match was really cool a couple weeks ago when they won the tag belts and they did that angle, but everything's been downhill from there. That awful promo with Darby that made no sense, and they're trying to rectify it. And then you have the awful circumstances. Now you're bringing in Ric Flair, and Ric Flair is going to turn up. I knew there was going to be a bunch of Gaga in this, right, Emily? But are they going lady? They're going full blown Lady Gaga. This is a battle.
I see. So, like, from my perspective, I really want to know. I want to hear a little bit more from Darby Allin too, like as someone that's been like a tag team partner over the years. Like that's a big partnership. Like, what's next for Darby Allin? Like, where's that journey going? And I'm interested to see how they handle that this weekend. Like, how are they going to address it? And, I feel like you're never really done. Like, we've seen that with Ric Flair. You never really are done with wrestling. So that's what I'm also intrigued about is there going to be something a little bit different after Sting's last match? Is there something that will be a little bit glimmer of hope that something different or new will happen? And maybe there's
Flair was supposed to be a big part of this entire storyline.
Yeah.
And he just popped back up, and we haven't seen him for over a month. So the whole thing has just been, they announced it in December, like that this was going to happen, and they've had a lot of time to get to this.
Yeah,
and on paper, saying he's going to have his last match with the Young Bucks, I'm not opposed to it.
No.
But you had to do a character change with the Young Bucks, which is still something that's in focus. And I don't know if everyone's buying them as world-beating heels. You had them basically retcon the entire rankings thing again and say that we're number one. We're naming ourselves the number one tag.
Yeah.
So they've done all these different things that make them genuinely heels. But now I'm just kind of I'm annoyed. Like, why did you bloodied Sting's children? You know what I mean? You beat up his grown adult sons. Mentioned nothing about it.
Right.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to hold up a picture. It was nice. Like, if everything in the storyline was when they announced it and this week, I'd be like, okay, cool. But everything between when they announced it and this week was I don't want to say dog shit because they did some great stuff. But it was definitely it's just aggravating. Let's talk about this situation, though, with another big match. We have Timeless Toni Storm. She's going to take on Deonna Purrazzo. I think Timeless is keeping the belt. I don't think that's changing. Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong in a singles match after Orange Cassidy beat Roderick Strong's goon buddy, Matt Taven, in a Texas death match. You think you would have a Texas death match on pay-per-view where you're bleeding buckets, but no, they did it on free television. Why? I don't know. And didn't advertise. DVR'd it, and then I turned it on, and I didn't know about them doing it until I'd already left the house.
Oh my!
No, maybe they advertised it before. Maybe it was out there. All right, but I spent my whole day on Twitter waiting to see who Tony Khan's in a fight with today. I just want to know what matches are happening.
Nick, I think we lost Kevin.
No, he's here.
I'm here.
It's Kevin.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Take a breath, Cap. Take a breath.
No, Orange Cassidy is going to beat Roderick Strong, or Roderick Strong is going to beat him. But here's the thing: I'm supposed to care. These men, blood buckets. They haven't made me care, Emily. Samoa Joe takes on Hangman Page and Adam. I can't see the name. I'm so goddamn mad. Three-way match for the AEW World Title. Samoa Joe defends. He eviscerated Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland on the microphone this week. But Hangman has some type of injury in the match this week. It was an ankle. Then it comes out that it was not an ankle. It's not an issue. He may have a personal problem. Then they keep him from doing the match. So yet again, another thing on the show affected by outside circumstances.
Yeah, it's weird.
Emily, what do you think of the rest of the show? Is there anything super appealing on the show, or is this a one-match card? So you get to see Sting have his final match.
I don't know. The thing is, I've been to many AEW shows, and you might not be excited by the card going in, but they deliver the night up. They've done that a handful of times. Yeah. Because I think they're still, again, they're 5 years old, right, at this point. Yeah. So they're still figuring it out, and they're getting some new backstage people to help out. So maybe the next quarter will be different. Who knows?
Let's cover that. Nick, did you see this news? Jen Pepperman, she was one of the chief writers of WWE. Mm-hmm. She mainly handled the women's division for the past year. She's been with WWE for over 5 years, was with them through the whole pandemic. when they made a lot of changes to the creative department, she stayed within that and was with them with the revisions when Bischoff was there, and then Bischoff was out, and then Tebow were in, and she stayed through it. And there's a lot of women that worked with her. Reportedly, Mercedes Moné is a big fan of her. We're expecting Mercedes Moné to pop up next week on Dynamite. So that's supposed to be a big thing in Boston. And of course, bringing in Peppermint is a big deal. What do you think of this? This is something they need. The storyline consistencies are all over the place. It doesn't, like, they don't connect the dots enough or dial in them in. Am I wrong?
You're right. I think this is huge for AEW and not only the women's division, but the whole company in general. But, I think AEW has needed a stronger women's division presence. I think it's great what they have going on right now, but they could get a lot better. And I think this move right here is going to set the tone for the company moving forward. And it was the perfect move for this company right here.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
Yeah, I think
Emily?
it's a great move. I think from multiple perspectives, I think not only do they need kind of a strategy, like creative strategy moving forward, they need to have a plan. They need to know like a year out where they're going, right? Like you got to plan a year of television. Obviously injuries happen and things change, but you have to know just like in any movie or film or TV show, you need to know your story arc. And so I'm so excited to see a woman kind of spearhead this and be in charge of the women's division and hopefully expand into further duties. But this is definitely something they need, and I'm excited to have someone come in, a female writer and producer, be a part of it. I think we need more people like that backstage. So I'm all for it.
I agree.
I definitely think you bring in someone who's an Emmy-winning soap opera writer, and soap operas have so much more correlation to wrestling than people understand. It's a man-oriented soap opera. I have no problem. People have told me that. Oh, you're just watching your stories. You're watching your wrestling is your soap opera. I had an ex-girlfriend, surprise, say that wrestling's just like soap operas. I was like, it
is.
Yeah, yes, I will confirm.
There's
less making out. I will say that there's just less smooching.
Depending on the era.
We need more evil twins. That's what we need. We need more
evil twins that like come back from like a brain injury, and then like they come back and they're like, hello, I'm
an actor, but with a smile. Or a goatee. He would always have a goatee. That's how you would know.
This is a different color hair, and you're like, that's the same person.
Tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. We'll have more.
I would watch soap operas with my grandmother, and she would be like, I'm gonna go let's go watch our stories.
Yep.
And so I love it. I'm a huge soap opera fan.
Robert Dinkins giving us the stinkins in the chat saying Revolution will be better than Elimination Chamber. Do you think it's a possibility? I think it's a possibility. Yeah,
it can happen. It can happen.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
against the wall. You got to deliver. This show's also going to have Takeshita versus Will Ospreay, a match of two guys that are in the same faction. That was the way that was presented. Made me roll my eyes this week, where it was like, there's no one worthy of fighting him, so we're all going to win. No matter what, we're all going to win. But no, Will Ospreay is going to leave the Don Callis family. That's what's going to happen. So I don't know, but that's not predictable. That's fine. Another big match. I think this is the one that will really steal the show. I think the moment you're tuning in for is Sting's last match, and you get all the gaga of that and hope some big triumphant send off. Win or lose. By the way, I do think he'll lose. I think Sting will lose.
Yeah.
Because I think he's that type of guy. But another big match is a singles match for the Triple Crown of the AEW Continental Championship, the Ring of Honor World Championship, the New Japan Strong Championship, the Wrestling Championship of AEW. So many belts. Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson. This is the one that steals the show. I think this is the best dialed-in storyline, by the way, too, in terms of just Bryan Danielson beating up all of Eddie Kingston's favorite wrestlers from Japan. Fly over here, I'll kick their heads in, and then I'm gonna beat your ass too. Like it's fairly simple. It's very AEW. It's very much what Bryan Danielson's a big old mark for New Japan stuff too. So I really enjoyed this one. I do think this is the one though where I gotta say this: Bryan Danielson in these big pay-per-view matches takes too many pinfalls. He put MJF over. He's put a lot of people over, and then he reminds you that he's Bryan Danielson, and then they build to a big match, and then he loses. And it's kind of been the pattern. Am I wrong, Nick? Like it's time for Bryan Danielson to win a title.
Yeah,
AEW.
He's got to get the W this weekend. I think it's happening. It's got to happen. It's just like you said. He's been putting too many people over. He's done a great job at that. But now it's time to get some shine.
Matches, right, Emily? Because it seems like in pay-per-view matches, he lost to Jericho in one. He lost to Jericho in one. He didn't need to lose to Jericho in one. And like ever since he's been to AEW, that's my only gripe is they make him feel like a big star when he's out there, and he gets a lot of time for his matches. He's also on creative, so that helps, right? So there's that, right? But he always feels like a big deal. And then if you want him to be the big daddy he's supposed to be, I say, come on. Eddie Kingston can take it. Eddie can take it,
Yeah.
Sorry, partner. Sorry. Eddie's gonna find me and give me he's giving me a spinning back fist the next time I see him at a wrestling show.
No, I'm torn, Kevin, because I'm a huge fan of them both, but I also have a really soft spot for Eddie Kingston.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't know.
You can say it. It's all good.
Say it, Emily. Turn on your friend.
To lose so that
Turn on your friend, Emily. I love the drama.
I know, right? I don't want to see any of my New Japan folks having a tough time.
Oh, no, that's right. Here we are. Here's where it's exposed. Let it be known for the record. We're here with broadcast journalist from New Japan Strong, Emily Mae. Emily and I are going to be working the Windy City Riot coming up here in April.
I am. I will be in your city.
Yes.
Windy City. So, yes, I will be there.
Yes. I won't. If you get in a couple days before, we'll do the deep dish thing. You can't do deep dish day of because I can have you walking around with a hot bowl of cheese in you.
Oh no, I can't. I got to do it a few days before or after TV.
Day you land because you can sleep on.
Okay,
cool. That's what you do.
And I'll trust you, Kevin, to point me in the right direction.
Yes, I will. That's coming up the week after WrestleMania. You and I will also be in Philadelphia. So we're going to have a lot of content coming at you. And there's a lot of wrestling content in general. So for the people that are this diehard with us, here's what you do. Turn those notifications on. So if you're watching on YouTube, wherever you're watching, make sure you turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. Because I know a lot of stuff can get lost in the filter. Also, if you watch some of this live, you don't watch all of it, you can go back and watch it on demand. It really, really helps us out. Get into the comments, even if you're watching on demand. And check out the channel, Sportskeeda Wrestling. Whole bunch of new stuff on there. We deep dive into the history of broadcasting wrestling. We have a deep dig into what can happen with Rock and Reigns together. All right, we have a bunch of shorts that Nicholas has voiced there. Ellie, I know you're all over the Instagram reels for us human beings being on the Sportskeeda Wrestling Instagram reel. So give us a follow on all those different things here. So we'll go into this. We'll get into all these different stories as they develop. I know there's some that are developing over the time, but waiting for some more details on that. Tonight after Monday Night Raw on the Wrestle Binge channel by Sportskeeda. We'll have Vince Russo, bro. We'll also have a fresh episode with Dutch Mantel talking about the latest developments in the entire unfortunate evolving situation involving Vince McMahon and the WWE. He has a lot of insight on that. That will be coming up. So look for those. Those will be dropping out there. And also, if you're just an audio person, we have our podcast feed where all this is available. So subscribe, find Sportskeeda. Wherever you want us, we're there. All right. We're on multiple different platforms with all the different content. So thank you guys so much for watching 48 minutes of three people.
Oh, yeah.
Screaming their opinions about wrestling. Or rather, I was screaming and then trying to get everyone else to scream. So there we go. Emily, if they want to follow you on all the different apps, where do they go?
Yeah. You can follow me on all social platforms at Emily Mae Heller.
Mm-hmm. Nicholas?
You can find me on Twitter at nharksen24. That is at NHARKSEN24.
Good follow for sports.
I forgot, Kevin. And I'm officially on Cameo. So I know that I have a smiley face most of the time, but my favorite things to do are heel promos. So if you want an official...
Are you cutting heel promos on people?
Yes, I am. If you want an official Emily Mae heel promo, find me on Cameo. It's the same.
Now, I don't know what your going rate is. Okay, I'm going to speak current wrestling with you. Okay, but maybe if I was just to give you a solo frame on screen here, and I'm demanding that you turn on your friends, you're not going to give me one. You're not going to cut one for me right here.
Go to Cameo, Kevin. You got to go.
Trying to sell some goddamn cameos here, Emily. I'm giving you an opportunity. It's ridiculous. Why am I cutting a promo on you?
Why are you cutting a promo on me? I'm going to cut a promo on you. Kevin, buy my cameo.
Buy my cameo. There we go. But check out the cameo for sure. And yes, all the different talk. We'll get into the comments. I know some people are popping off here. I'm Kev Callum. I'm super busy. I'm beginning the Roast Battle Chicago tournament this week. We're going to have 5 consecutive weeks of shows starting this week at Lincoln Lodge in Chicago, and then we'll have 4 consecutive shows at Zanies, the world famous Zanies Comedy Club. You can go to roastbattlechicago.com for tickets and all the information. We have a bunch of free shows, by the way. If you're never going to be in Chicago, we have a bunch of free shows on our YouTube channel. Just search Roast Battle Chicago. It's very R-rated. Don't watch it when your mom's around. So there you go. I've given you the heads up. So much going on. WrestleMania, we're going to scream our opinions at the moon. But when we do, please remember, whether you're ordering a cameo or wearing a Bulls hat and being nice and patient for me to stop yelling, please enjoy wrestling.